Hello, and welcome to the Legendarium Green Team. I'm your host, Stormrunner, and I'm joined today by Kiptan,
Hey yo.
Befuddled Panda,
Hi.
and Jingles.
Hola.
Today we will be discussing The Truce at Bakura by Kathy Tyers. We'll start with a non-spoiler section, and we'll give a spoiler warning before we head into spoiler territory. Now, the book was published in 1993 and is functionally a direct sequel to Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So there will be spoilers for the entirety of the original Star Wars trilogy because of that, since we can't really talk about the book without at least referencing the movies that the book is a sequel to. So, with that preamble finished, what did everyone think of the book?
I thought it was hilarious. I love this book. It's not great, but it is funny.
Funny is a good word.
It was fine.
Yeah. I think you can definitely love it for all the wrong reasons.
I do love it for mostly the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I think like this one is placed at a really good spot for like a lot more complex things. Like we have just at the end of Return of the Jedi, we have Leia getting to actually see Leia do some like confrontation of the fact that she's Vader's kid. We have that type of thing, and it's acknowledged, but there's just no effort.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like that character arc is like, oh no, I'm Vader's kid. Oh no, I'm Vader's kid. I guess I'm Vader's kid.
Yeah.
Oh, in this book, yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the acknowledgement of like her having to deal with that knowledge and trying to process it.
Wait, real quick, should we avoid spoiling?
We should talk about where exactly in the publication order of Star Wars novels this is.
Okay, Star Wars experts that are not me, where in the publication order is this?
This is one of the very first EU books to ever be published. It was like Splinter of a Mind's Eye, then this, and then the Thrawn trilogy.
You know, it's fun. With that in mind, at a high level, it's not a good book. In fact, it's a bad book. But like
they haven't even figured out what to name the capital of the empire in this book. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, they totally gave up on saying anything.
They just called it Imperial Center.
Uh-huh.
That's a good point. I always we can get into that. Yeah, I assumed that they were just referring to the physical like building that they send the officers or spies for training.
They hadn't come up with the name Coruscant yet.
No, that's fitting.
I also feel like there's like a pretty clear like uncertainty of where they want to go with the Force any further than they have within the movies. Like there's just a lot of weird discussions that are happening that don't always make sense. Like there's a religious sect in this that I don't understand what the difference between the Force and their viewpoint is, because it's all about balance.
Yeah, do we want to could we like avoid or
that's might be spoiler territory, but I do appreciate that they tried for a religion.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Because it's other than vague like spirituality as a thing.
Yeah. It's always hard to have religious conversations in works where there are tangible mystical elements.
And there are some good, like, it's not all bad stuff in the book. Like there's a lot of interesting things like the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Imperial Rebel interactions are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There are some interesting concepts. We'll get to Entekment.
Hey, Entekment is cool.
We'll get there, but it's interesting. There is stuff that is worthwhile to read in the book, even if the book itself on the whole is not necessarily worthwhile.
Yeah. I guess I'd revise my statements a little bit. I don't think any of these are bad concepts. I think just they're mostly just flirting with the ideas than actually diving into any high philosophical discussion or involvement.
Which is kind of what a lot of Star Wars media does.
That's very true.
Yeah.
No,
but you're right. It's yeah.
No, these are popcorn. This is a popcorn novel. It is a thriller that was designed to tie into a TV series. And the fact that it is even marginally okay.
Wait, what?
Sorry. It's a thriller that was designed to tie into some movies. And the fact that it's even marginally okay is kind of shocking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not totally irredeemable. Just like Vader as Leia. Well, yeah, we'll get there, I guess.
But yeah, that's my non-spoiler opinion of this book.
Yeah. Go into it knowing that it's not great and have a good time with what is there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the right mentality. Because it is fun, going back to the discussion about the book as where it is placed in the Star Wars EU. It is fun as something, as a early Star Wars media outside of the books thing.
Yeah, even if at one point they forget the TIE fighters don't have shields.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I don't know, the science fantasy lingo is such that I probably didn't even notice that they said that. My favorite. Go ahead.
I do love that instead of saying blankets, they said thermal coverings.
Yeah, and you can't have watches; you have to have chronos.
Yep.
My favorite phrase of this is, I think it's when they're going into hyperspace and everything they quote split into binaries is the phrase.
Is that the visual effects that we saw in the movies? I don't remember that.
I don't remember that. But yeah.
Apparently. And psychotic harmonics is another one that comes up.
Hey, that's in Techman lingo. That's new.
Any other non-spoilery things before we get into it?
If I say that I thought there would be a lot more romance in this book, is that a spoiler?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
No.
I think that's a good thing.
No, because that's part of that. I would say that's part of the pitch if you're pitching it to somebody.
Yeah, that was
my expectation, and I got some, but not to the extent that I thought we would get based on how Kip was talking about it.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
No,
I think for maybe Panda's level of understanding of romance, this is very tame. This is
perhaps. Although Kip reads probably more romance than me.
I really don't think I do.
No? Okay.
No.
But yeah, that's kind of where I like when I used the word flirting earlier. That was very intentional. Like this book, just everything about it is just kind of there, including the romance. But the stuff that is there is hilarious to me.
Dev Sibwara is not kind of there.
Dev's complicated. I don't know how I feel about some of his stuff after the reveal of what's going on with him.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So I did want to say something. The audiobook version of this book is much shorter than
3 hours
than the written version of this book. I think it's actually 6 hours, maybe 4. I don't know. But
I downloaded it. It was 3 hours.
Okay. So
my version was anyways.
I understand why the audiobook version is so much shorter, because the written version, like, there's so many words that you do not need, and you could easily cut this book in like half. So I would
but
I would rather listen to the audiobook version if I were ever to reread this book. That's it.
it's funny because I almost did audio but like I actually did ebook because I saw that it was abridged, but that is I wouldn't disagree with that. I think half is harsh, but that's
okay. That might be hyperbolic, but it can definitely be way shorter.
Yeah.
It might have been 3 hours at 2x speed, and I just didn't notice I was at 2x speed.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Because when I look at it on Spotify, it was like 6 hours. I was like, oh, I can do this in 3 hours. And then I started listening to it. I was like, wait a minute. They're skipping so many sentences. It's really just the dialogue.
They even skip some of the dialogue.
They do, a lot of it, because it's not needed. Anyway.
I definitely think, that's one of those all things relative. I mean, it's a 300-page book in hard copy, which is not like the hardest thing necessarily to breeze through, especially given how simplistic some of that text is. So,
yeah.
I would consider that my like minimum size back when I read this book.
Yeah.
Minimum, yeah.
When I bought a book at Barnes & Noble, I was trying to go for something at least 300 pages for $4.
That's a good point.
That's fair.
I would say, like, if the words were spent on really, like, fleshing out the characters more and their emotions and their, like, connections with each other, like, great, that would be fine. But that's not really what the words were spent doing in this book.
Yeah.
Mostly, I'd agree. There's a lot of time devoted to technology.
Yes.
We can put quotations around that word.
Okay.
Technology.
There's a lot of time devoted to the physical shape of technology.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's what they thought that Star Wars fans wanted at that time, which I get, because it's like a newer, it's very new universe, new IP. I get it.
Oh yeah, I think it's fine. Like that's what, again, this is also something that Star Wars is. The technology does exactly what it needs to do to progress the plot along, and that's like and that's what it is.
It also gave Bakura a unique feel with all of the repulsor lift technology that was integrated into everyday life. Are you kidding me? That is prime world building. I need to know about glide doors and how Gariel knows what glide doors are. And Luke is like, this door seems to be on little mini repulsor lifts. That's weird. I thought that was good characterization and world building.
Okay.
Yeah, very.
And then, there's that repulsor lift chair later on. Come on.
They have a whole repulsor, factory.
Yeah, it's one of their primary exports.
Right, yeah, that's like the whole,
the primary export that isn't a drug.
Yeah. Which we could talk about that tree seed thing. I don't know what
tree.
Yeah.
Anything else non-spoilery? We've been flirting with spoilers, but okay. All right, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here is a rough summary of the book. It's been a few days since the Rebel Alliance's victory over the Empire at the Battle of Endor and the death of Emperor Palpatine, and the Rebel Alliance has a new threat to contend with. The Alliance intercepts a distress call from the Bakura system, saying that the Imperials there are under attack from an alien force known as, and I think this is the first time that this word will be said in the episode, the Siruk. And request aid and backup from the Empire. Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie lead a group to Bakura in hopes of forging a temporary alliance with the Imperials to repel the alien invaders and bring Bakura over to the rebellion. Led and coached by Leia, the rebel leaders negotiate a temporary truce with Imperial Governor Willick Nereus to fight back against the Siruk. Meanwhile, Dev Sabwara, a Force-sensitive human, has been brainwashed to help the Siruk harvest human life force to power battle droids and other synthetic weapons of war through the process of entekment. Dev has begun to regain awareness of his force abilities and attempts to resist the Siruk's brainwashing. Luke has a romance with Gabriel Captison, one of Bakura's Imperial senators, marking this his first romance with someone he isn't related to. Leia starts processing the complicated feelings that come with the revelation that her father is Darth Vader. Han is also there. The Siruk attempt to invade Bakura and begin to attack a kidnapped Luke, while Governor Nereus double-crosses the alliance. With Dev's help, Luke defeats the Siruk on their flagship and escapes. Dev is injured in the escape and later dies from said injuries. With the help from Commander Thanos and the Imperials, Han and Wedge win the space battle against the Siruk, and the resistance cells on Bakura overthrow Nereus and the Imperials. Luke must say goodbye to his first love because she's not the one, and Luke has more Jedi Destiny stuff to do. And then our main characters return to the Rebel Alliance. That was longer than it probably deserved and needed to be, but
So,
I think I covered everything.
A quibble. They never try to intek Luke.
No.
Okay, they set it up.
They set him up as a channel, not as an actual intact creature.
No, intek Luke.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, because they're going to use him as like the conduit. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good clarification.
Like a soul sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. So, how many people here are familiar with the Dark Crystal?
Somewhat.
No.
Somewhat. Okay. So, Dark Crystal was a Jim Henson created movie back in the 80s that should never have been made for kids. But the whole premise of I love it, by the way. The whole premise is that this crystal is run by like reptilian bird type creatures called the Skeksis. And the crystal pulls souls out of the other species on this planet so that they can prolong their lives. I'm pretty sure that's where this idea came from.
I think that life force absorption is an old idea, and you can't trace it back to just the Dark Crystal. You got to go back further.
Oh, I think so. The dinosaur style aliens, I think, is where that makes a harder or a better comparison.
Maybe. But also, there were lots of dinosaur aliens in the pulp age of sci-fi.
Really?
Were there?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Alien lizard people. Long history.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of those things. I was like, could change them all. Were also in my head multiple times.
Wow.
Well, I was thinking the dinosaurs from that 90s show, which
look,
they are not athletic like
for the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. Yeah, they're just kind of, they're kind of generic. Like they're the generic alien invading force is what I was thinking of.
They've got tongues in their noses.
They do.
I admittedly skipped a lot of the physical descriptions. I don't know. I didn't care.
And they don't use chairs. They just sit down on their tails.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that I remember as a point. Yeah, but on the soul life force sucking thing, I did have in my brain, I don't know, like I'm sure there's a specific movie that has this, but person in the chair, kind of with their head just getting shocked and their like eyes are all wacky, and electricity is shooting up the bowl on top of their head into whatever generator thing is it's going into is
Yeah.
what I'm imagining with this with Entechment.
It's very 80s psionic is what it is. Back when people were not convinced that there was such a hard line in between psychic abilities and like cybernetic abilities, which that was an interesting time.
Yeah, I just watched Akira last night, which is also an interesting more of that. Literally 80s, with all anyways.
Would you watch this movie? Like, if it were adapted, would you watch it?
Oh,
I
totally would. But
I feel like like it would work better as like a visual media.
It's definitely a movie I would watch, and then I would stay away from the internet for about 3 weeks. Then...
I don't ever want to see the internet comments on Star Wars videos.
The problem is you can't have dev that way. Have internal monologue in some fashion if you want Dev to not appear to be just the most vile human ever.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, because all of his characterization is dependent on.
I think
he's not allowed to show any external signs.
Yeah,
it's blue scale,
or he gets he gets someone like how do they rehypnotize? That's not the word. They renew. Yeah, they have a word for it, but yeah.
I think there would have to be a lot of flashbacks, like in his mind, that kind of thing, to take place of the internal monologue.
Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of times alone in a cage or something. Well, you'd have to restructure it around that.
Yeah.
So you can reflect. Yeah, this book takes, I guess, like, psychic connection is definitely a thing with the Force, but this takes it to a whole new level where they are just like talking together telepathically.
I generally liked what they did with, or the Force was, I think, one of the highlights of the book as far as just things that she does, like Kathy Tyers does with it. Yeah, like I generally liked at least the softness of it, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Like it felt true to the original trilogy, which is fitting since there wasn't like decades of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, totally mudding up
this. Yeah.
But also, she didn't have any of the like dark side, light side nuance of the later books to draw upon. So Dev's usage of the Force goes mostly unexamined from a balance perspective. It's not really said if what he has been doing is dark side usage, light side usage. Is his unawareness and like positive intentions enough to turn it into a light side usage? It's not clear. The book doesn't really say much about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. It is interesting, though. We get the phrase Sith Lord is used in reference to Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which is an interesting point.
That was a term that later got locked down in the EU for like the Thrawn trilogy. They weren't allowed to say Sith Lord in Thrawn.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They used Dark Jedi the entire time, I think.
Yeah, that I remember, but yeah, we talked about this when we did the Heir to the Empire, but I'm forgetting the specifics. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because that would intersect with when Lucas, he had to have known at this. Oh, I don't know, 1993. He had to have known he wanted to do it, like the prequels.
The knowledge of Palpatine being strong in the Force or not, that was a fun little bit that we got. Like Nereus had no idea, and neither did Yariel, that the Emperor was strong in the Force.
Right.
That was a fun little clarifying bit.
I mean, it's one of the pieces that offers up some of the more interesting political intrigue of this entire truce that lasts like 2 days. Is that this denial of, like, was Palpatine actually what they claimed he was, and did Vader kill him? Probably not. I don't even think they ever really discuss that part. I think it gets brought up once, and then they kind of just sweep over it.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a resolution to it. I don't think,
Yeah.
from that perspective. I do want to real quick go back to the dark side, light side stuff. When Luke freed Dev from like the Siruv influence, the word light is like used. Like he used the quote unquote light, which that was interesting. Definitely not like a dark side, light side thing, but almost a like proto ability of sorts. I mean, that's not. I'm gamifying it before it was gamified.
I think it
but
was a dark side, light side thing. I think it was just pure light side energy that he used.
I guess that that would make sense.
Well, because when he was looking at Dev's, like, I don't know, when he was reaching out to him, he saw that there was like this blackness, which was what the aliens basically had imposed on him to block out his memories.
Yeah, blue scale's hypnosis. Which okay, I thought Blue Scale was a pretty good villain. Did you guys?
Him and Furwillig, whatever
Fear
the other guy's name. Yeah,
Fearwirung.
Fearwong. I thought both of them actually worked pretty well as, especially in the Dev scenes. They're both particularly good as villains.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. It's the sitting there and rubbing his arm and like Dev not really fully understanding that they're like prepping to inject something in him is like really horrifying. Yeah, I don't know. Those scenes were at times kind of troubling to read.
Yeah, yes, a few of those were
absolutely
disturbing.
Yeah.
I thought he was fine as a villain. They kind of, admittedly, I would get them mixed up for like most of the book, like all the different Srivuk people.
See,
but I think
Ruvi.
Siruvi. Wait, no, right?
Yeah, see, Ruvi.
Yeah,
Siru. Yeah,
is singular.
Okay,
I think.
Oh,
Okay.
the plural. Yeah,
The plural Sarut, yeah.
See, Ruvi.
Ruvi.
Siruvi is referring to their civilization, I think.
Oh,
okay. Which interesting that we don't like. We get references to that other either galaxy they come from or wherever their like main civilization is, but they are very much an open plot point at the end of the book. Plot point's not the right phrase, but open thing to maybe be used in the future.
like what would happen to them afterwards?
Yeah, like I don't think they'll be back, but like there's so many books that they probably are at some point.
Do they come back in anything, Kip?
You asking me?
Yeah.
No. Not
Okay.
really.
So maybe maybe
Bakura
they do
does,
die out.
but the Siruk do not. And we do actually kind of get a reason for that at the start of the book, because we have the explanation that they've really worn themselves down getting to this galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
and their main fleet is almost entirely out of energy. So they've sent this small force to Intech Bakura to get back enough energy so they can resupply the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And without a success at Bakura, that fleet has to turn around and go home.
No, but, I mean that makes sense. That puts a loop on the book.
So you think that afterwards they just went home?
Yeah, I think they just went home. Either that or they tried to find like a backup planet, and I don't think it went well.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting, the tidbits that we did get to learn about this civilization, and why they use the intact droids, because if they die off their home planet, then I guess they don't like go to heaven, their heaven or something.
Yeah, their souls wander between the galaxies forever.
Yeah.
That kind of
Which,
suck.
yeah, doesn't sound great.
No. It makes choosing to be a conquering species interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, let's feel like I would try to avoid the option of leaving my planet at any point. But
You just gotta consecrate the world and don't fail at invasion.
yeah.
No, the Sirook do not return, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Oh.
I did think they were interesting as a species, interesting as villains and antagonists. But overall, like they, we could have learned quite a bit more, but we were just given what was really necessary for this story.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Like they're again generic aliens doing a silly thing with enticement that could again the whole synthetic ship stuff is or synthetic ships like powered by like a like life force thing is interesting, but they're fine.
I mean, it's slightly stronger than like your standard MacGuffin, right? Like, we need a third party so that we can get the Empire and the Rebels together,
Hmm.
actually discussing things instead of fighting each other.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah.
I like the opportunity for what we see as the bad side and the good side to work together.
Yeah.
Well, if you
and-
didn't like the Sirook, what do you feel about the Poek?
They were
Oh, yeah.
kind of just random, and they would just like pop up whenever it was needed. And that's it.
Okay.
So they're
They were
coming
barely
back.
there. It's true.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think that the dev stuff makes this the Sirook stuff better. Like or I should say it gives it more weight, especially to those between these scenes with like the enticement scenes, his stuff as he's resisting them, and his stuff with Luke gives more nuance is a weird word to use, but like gives something more to the Sirook plotline.
I definitely think that Dev is the best part of the book.
Very tragic character.
Yeah, because Luke kept referring to him as his future apprentice, and that was kind of sad.
Yeah, he jumped
Yeah.
right on
Oh, yeah.
trying to want to train that guy.
He was strong.
Yeah.
He just wasn't trained.
He had the most developed character arc.
Oh yeah, yeah, which is
And he
fairly. Sorry.
and he really seems like a nice guy, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the dude is enslaved and his mind is completely shattered, and he's still finding time to understand that what's happening to him is wrong. Like, he's still breaking through all those barriers
Yeah.
and actually doing something about it rather than just submitting, which is yeah, it's a strong character among, I mean, characters that we're familiar with that seem really out of step with what we usually see them as, or
I would say
And
he's
he's-
the biggest twist in this
Yeah.
book.
And he's even learning how to write down the Sirook language in a notation that he's entirely devised himself.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
He's a cool guy. And you don't have to read all of his scenes from the lens of kink, but if you do,
you could.
it's more interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely did not read it through the lens of kink.
The first few I did. The first few I was, oh boy, here we go.
The first time, yeah, the first few because he's, yeah, it is kind of existential in the sense that he just wants to be subsumed by the battle droids, but
You wanted to be in tech.
yeah, he wanted to be in touch.
He designs a bondage rack for Luke.
Yes, right. Like, but he also like he spends a lot of time thinking about how it's gonna be done and why he's gonna like it.
Yeah.
But
Oh
like-
dear.
Oh, they're not using the regular platform for me, but it's great that I get to still bend over this chair. Like, it's so yeah.
Nope.
He's also a transhumanist, which gets him points in Kip's book.
Yeah.
He is transhumanist, yes.
It's unfortunate that Star Wars doesn't like transhumanism that much.
Again, going back to depth and philosophy in Star Wars, or lack thereof in this case.
It's one of those flirting moments with the idea of like Dev recognizing that Luke has a bionic arm.
Mm-hmm.
Your entechment has begun already.
Yeah, it's like, you're ready, buddy. Go. They don't really do anything with it other than he acknowledges it, but
Looks like this wasn't my choice.
yeah.
None of the entechments were anyone's, like the people's choice. They were forced.
It would have been Dev's.
True. You're probably the only one.
Yeah, so let's going back to the Imperial. This question about how do we like the Imperials as our antagonists and such. I think they work. I mean, Nereus is kind of a generic. He's the villain we see in lots of Star Wars media that has the Empire as the thing, but it works. It's a politically complex for Star Wars situation, and I think that it works well enough as far as that goes, and he's engaging enough, given all the pieces around him. Having Thanos to kind of and Gariel to play off of, I think, helps.
I liked Manchiso, and I liked that the Imperials killed her.
Oh,
Okay.
It gave this some
care to elaborate?
weight. Luke's direct commandee, which we haven't talked about Luke as a commander of a detached task force yet, but we need to because he's entirely unqualified. And Manchiso was the one who was landed with the job of babysitting Luke Skywalker in his first task force command, and she died for it.
Yeah, it is funny because even Luke, as he's commanding that opening battle sequence, keeps thinking like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what Han? What am I supposed to? I don't know if I think he actually calls out to Han, but he recognizes that he doesn't know how to be a commander, and he doesn't want to be one at all. He just wants to be flying his X-wing.
I don't want to be commanding. I just want a girlfriend.
Yeah, I think Leia would be honestly a more suitable commander for this.
Their dynamic was kind of funny. Like basically her just praying that that him and Han are not going to do certain things when they're negotiating with the Imperials.
Well, when Luke was doing the first few scenes with Luke being a commander, he was using this BAC thing that's like
yeah, I like that.
that just like ingests all the information and like comes up with battle plans, I guess.
Luke tried to offload his workload onto AI, and it didn't work.
It didn't work. And it backfires even further at the end of the book because everyone starts changing colors right away once the threat's initially gone.
And Luke has a realization. I need to put away the BAC. It is a work in progress, an experiment. It might do some fun things, but it can only see what the fighters see. And when they launch a new wave of fighters, the BAC can be taken entirely by surprise.
I think, okay, here's a little like, I don't know, career advice, I guess. If you don't, I think the reason why that Luke doesn't really want to be a commander is because he wants to be doing the fighting himself, right? He wants to be the one who's on the ground, like making the calls for just himself. And he doesn't want to be like managing people. He's not a good people manager. He would not be a good like director, VP of anything. But for the people like Leia, where she's like, this is what she does. She's constantly thinking about like, okay, this is my role. This is how other people, like what their roles are. This is how they could impact the situation. Like she's constantly thinking about people and their impact. She would be a great manager. And she later on does become that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess we can't wait to find out when Luke becomes the manager of all of the Jedi in the galaxy later.
Watch that go real well.
It's really interesting because
spoiler alert, he's not perfect at it.
No.
You see him with Dev and he immediately goes like, "Oh, I want him as an apprentice." Right? That's where it's like there's a bit of a little bit of character development for Luke where it's like it's not just about me. Now there's somebody else that I want to nurture.
Yeah. Though it does seem like he runs into quite a few Force-sensitive people on this planet. He's like, "Oh, I'll just teach you to heal, and I'll teach you to heal,
Yeah.
and I'll teach you to heal."
I did like that. That's how he got through to Giriel. Was he used the Force or helped coach her
Epi.
their ability.
Her aunt,
her aunt to be able to heal herself. That was a good. I think that was a good Jedi moment, and it was a good and it functioned well in the.
I don't think they're actually related.
Like biologically related, you mean?
Yeah,
I think you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's Senator Orn Belden's wife, and they're just a family friend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, because she calls the prime minister her uncle, right? Uncle
Yorg.
Yes.
Yorg.
Yes. Yorg.
Yorg Belden.
No, Yorg.
Captain. Yeah, Captain. Sorry.
Yeah. Because that's also her last name.
Yes.
I keep wanting to call her Gabriel.
No, just call her Gary.
That's what it gets shortened to sometimes.
Yeah.
Luke and his love interest Gary.
Yeah.
I would love for that to be to have been a thing and to see what Disney would to do with it. But it's a whole
But no, it's straight up insta love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the romance. Is that?
I think we're moving into the romance. I think we're getting
moving
there.
into the romance. Let's do it.
Okay.
He just like, "Oh, I can't stop looking at her." And then like he tries really hard to not look at her and she's just like, "Who is this man?" and has this instant like, dislike, but it's one of those things where it's like opposites attract kind of thing. And he can sense her strong feelings for him over time. Yeah.
Well, she thinks that for a person to take on as much power as a Jedi does, they have impoverished dozens or hundreds or millions of people.
Yes, it's like, well, why can't I be like a Force user or whatever? Yeah.
And it turns out she isn't. She just like resonates with Luke and makes him feel the Force more strongly or something. And he feels all these dark blues and greens, and that's about as much as we get from that.
The descriptions of how they feel about each other were quite something.
Do you have any particular favorite?
There was one. It's Giriel literally feeds Luke the fruit that like causes the slight pleasure response and says, "Oh, this is used for habit forming and conditioning."
No, he asks, "Is it habit forming?" And she says, "Aren't most good things?"
Yeah. That was a pretty fun scene.
Yeah, that was the whole I forget who mentioned it. Their intro of where they're basically trying really hard not to look at each other, but like at the same time they are, and it's it's
I get it. There are times when you like walk into the room, you see somebody, and you're like, "Wow, I really like looking at you, and I can't look away. I don't want to look away, but I need to because otherwise I'm too obvious." Like, I get it.
I get it, but it was just funny that their attraction basically became a like forced destiny, the capital F forced destiny thing.
Oh yeah, they're like borderline soulmates according to the Force, right?
Yeah.
I guess. But also, like, they don't actually end up together at the end.
No, that was
She
one of the more
makes the
confusing
choice.
things to me was like reading some of these interactions and being like, okay, this is definitely some insta love. And then like they would do a paragraph skip to just one or the other. And they're like, oh, that went miserably. I was like, wait, what? Did I miss something here? What just happened?
When did I start reading Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
No, she
Yeah.
loves her planet too much. And you know what? I can't really blame her. It does seem like it has
No.
a lot of gorgeous features.
Mm-hmm.
And Panda, you can't say anything because it sounds a lot like the Pacific Northwest.
It does.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything against the planet, but I didn't. I thought there would be more to the romance.
You wanted more out of Chewie's beanbag scene, didn't you? You wanted...
That was I wasn't expecting as much of the Leia and Han bit, but that was nice. You know, like some development of their relationship, as opposed to just like, yep, they're together now and they're in love and they have a child or two or however many.
That's 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
There's some time.
I did like how Leia and Han's whole thing was like they need to find time.
Yeah.
And both of them live lives where there is not a lot of time.
Yeah. Well, it's more of time alone with each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, and too bad that it always seems to happen during an invasion or attack.
To be fair, coming into an SOS and deciding that you've got some time to drink some wine in the back is like, that's on you, man.
Yeah.
You made the choice.
I'm not quite sure what his logic was there.
Yeah.
I know he said it, but it's just.
How long were they in hyperspace?
Yeah.
It was 4 days, right? Because span over 6 or something like that.
Maybe that's how long it took Chewie to set up the area.
Or for
bags
to come up with the idea.
They weren't beanbags. They were like inflatable
like,
cushions.
Yeah, they're just like
Pillows.
cushions. A little facetious, but yeah.
Like, how obvious can I get?
In like a pit of some kind, because like Leia kicked Han into it and he fell
Yes.
down.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a ladder required.
That's what the Millennium Falcon is, the TARDIS of the Star Wars world. Like, they have so many different rooms that just appear.
It's the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars.
It's got cargo bays.
It's just so like it's just so funny that whenever they refer to it as like a bucket of bolts or like like it's just like it's just this trash thing, but it's like it's the fastest, most invincible ship in the entire galaxy,
Most modified.
Yes, most modified. Yeah. Han,
most repairable.
Yes. Yes, yeah, they're able to repair it basically anywhere with whatever materials are there.
I think credit goes to Chewie for that.
Yeah.
I will give this book a little bit more credit than even like Timothy Zahn with regards to Chewbacca, just because like I felt like is it Kathy or Katie? Kathy Tyers?
Yeah, Kathy.
Tyers. Yeah. She just like she got the duo of Han and Chewie right. Like yeah, it's like, oh yeah, he modified this, which he wasn't supposed to do. So let's go ahead and get that.
And we get some of Chewie gets some like dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets more personality in this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did appreciate that, and you know,
and I was
watching him with Imperials is interesting.
3PO too. Like I think she did 3PO really well.
Yeah,
3PO is fun. 3PO in Stormtrooper armor had me laughing out. I was like,
that was fun.
Yeah. You did what? I mean,
R2 trying to keep Luke inside a med bay was also pretty fun.
Yeah.
I liked Leia in this one too. She's quite spunky, and like how she is like in on the jokes about 3PO as well. Like she just like turns him off at times. Yeah. And her agreeing that, oh yeah, chaining Thanos to 3PO is punishment enough.
I want to know what stories 3PO told Thanos.
Yeah, and then he turns around and like got valuable information out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
This was great.
I want to know.
Alliance propaganda.
Yeah.
You know what? 3PO could be credited to Thanos deciding to defect to the Alliance at the end.
I think easily.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Made compelling
Luke,
arguments. Well, maybe.
And 3PO, I guess, yeah, in Return of the Jedi.
I think he knew that he was going to a slave mine if any Imperial was able to review what he did.
Yeah.
It was about to not go very well for him at all.
I did like him as a character. Like there wasn't a ton there, but there was like enough. There's like the struggle that his personal struggle. You could understand like his motivations. So
yeah, and his scenes with I liked his scenes with Luke. The scenes with the tension of the Imperials and the Empire, going back more motivations with Giriel and like talking to her time in the was it the Imperial Center, like that stuff, and that the Thanos stuff, some of the Nereus stuff, I think it generally worked for me. I mean, it's not groundbreaking for Star Wars, but it's well done and interesting.
Thanos is competent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to. Thanos is the one that's Alderaanian, right?
No, that was just a random dude.
Yeah,
that was a random dude.
It was just a mention
who never popped up again.
Yeah,
he popped up like a little bit, and then Han got all jealous, and Leia was like, "Ooh, you gotta cool this.
You gotta cool it down, buddy." Okay, well, that kind of changes what I was going to say, but I did like one of the more interesting new things that came out of the Marvel comics for Star Wars for me was a miniseries with Leia that took place after Return of the Jedi, where she's like actively going around trying to find stray Alderaan members.
Is this
and
like one of the new ones or like the old Marvel comics?
No, this is newer. This is like from 2000. I mean, newer. When did they acquire? It's probably like 2015, 2016-ish is when this came out. That series doesn't have much going for it, but the concept I really enjoyed because it seems like a motive for Leia that would be good to explore.
I agree. So the good things about this book, because there are some good things, like I was talking about how the focus on Leia and her like processing the trauma that she's had now. So learning that Darth Vader is her father and that she is related and she has this fear of like turning into Vader, like going evil. And then also the loss of her home planet, Alderaan. There was a moment where in the book it says, she lived too long with the fear of Darth Vader. You can't restore Alderaan. You can't bring back the people you murdered or comfort their widows and orphans. You can't undo what you did to the Alliance. Old pain jabbed her like a fresh wound. And that's when she was talking to Darth Vader's whatever image that popped up.
Force Ghost.
Force Ghost, yeah. Which I guess that was a thing in this. And that was like really powerful. It really like communicated that she has all of this pain that she's trying to deal with, but she has to she can't reconcile that she is related to the person who ordered the death of her people.
Yeah. I will say that in some later books, Leia does get an aid from Alderaan that she'd like been active with in her rebellion era.
Oh, okay.
Aldo.
Yeah.
Right. No. Actually, I can't. Was Holdo from Alderaan? I don't think she was.
God.
No, she was not
No.
from Alderaan.
Yeah.
No. Her name is Winter, for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
yeah,
that is the
she's
one
in
that we
Thrawn
met.
trilogy. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, in the Thrawn trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did also think it was a fitting end to this book when Leia was like, I can't forgive Darth Vader, but I can forgive Anakin Skywalker. And it's just like her acknowledging that her father, there was more to him than just the evil that she didn't want to turn into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I generally liked a lot of that, like you're saying. I kind of hope that we get more. I don't know if I kind of hope we get more of Anakin's Force Ghost in like later stuff. I imagine it's not a huge focus, but it'd be interesting to see how they interpret that without like in a. Because I know the publication of those started to be around the prequels, like a lot of the I think New Jedi Order stuff, but it would be curious to see.
Well, we saw that in the Thrawn trilogy that they like put a cap on Force ghosts.
Yep.
They're like, oh hey, they can only visit for like a little bit after they die, and then they're gone. Then they're
That's true.
elsewhere.
Because Obi-Wan's his opening
Yeah.
conversation with Luke is like, I'm about
Well,
to
even
be
in
gone
this
forever.
one, like she, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think it was, Leia kind of thinking like, oh, it's probably that Luke already made peace with Darth Vader, and that's why he's not showing up to him. He's showing up to her in her room.
Yep.
That's where the repent has to happen.
Yeah.
Because I can see recurring Force ghosts being overused in a long-running series like the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Well, and all the times that Luke was like calling out to Yoda, calling out to Kenobi, and they didn't show up.
Yeah.
Imagine if Yoda appeared in like 100 out of 300 Star Wars novels.
They wouldn't do that then. They would do it.
They would do that now.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it could be overused. I also think that the Force is something that gets rewritten like every year or so. So I think that I wouldn't be shocked if we end up seeing more Force Ghost at some point.
I'm actually okay with the like wishy-washiness of the Force and the understanding of it, because I think part of it is different people have different like things that the Force could be attuned to, and could like amplify, and also just like it is this like living thing, so I'm okay with it also evolving.
Okay. What is the dark side, light side action of killing those Oblarian trichoids or whatever they were?
Wait.
Oh, the parasite things?
Yeah, the parasites.
The like intense body horror scene of the entire book.
I was not expecting that part. Okay, I did not expect horror in
that
this
scene
book.
Might give the movie an R rating.
Wait, which
that was just
when
he
was
was using the
was
Force
that
to pull the parasites out of his chest. Yeah.
Ugh.
And like he's like he could feel the bulge behind his teeth as it was like coming out.
And like their mouth and stuff, and just the fact that they're like in him eating away internally.
Luke is at no point in this entire book healthy.
No,
he is. He was near perfect health according to Neris's like medical scan thing.
Well, I'm betting that scan didn't show the like residual calcification of Luke's bones from just getting electrocuted.
Yeah, like it is a plot point that Palpatine's lightning had his connection to the Force was disrupted by Palpatine's lightning, is the heavy implication, at least that I was getting.
I think his nervous system was disrupted by
that too.
Palpatine's lightning.
Yes, that too.
To answer your previous question, though, Kip, I got to assume that Luke's perspective of what counts as good can be very much twisted by his situation. Because doesn't he at one point even tell Dev, like, kill for defense? That's what you're going to do.
Don't like it.
Yeah, don't like it.
Literally what
do
he
it.
said.
Yeah. That's gotta be good, right? He does acknowledge, though, that Ben and Yoda are probably rolling in their graves if they heard him say that. But
he did.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. That was pretty funny.
Luke's constantly like, I think this was light-sided. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Probably I did it, so it might be okay.
I think I can listen to this person's thoughts. It's probably not that bad, right?
Not too bad.
I don't know. And I'm the one that gets to decide these things now, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, the order of operations sometimes is very much like he listens, then he thinks about if it's okay, and he's like, yeah, it's probably okay.
Oh, I found that part. He literally said, like, oh yeah, it wasn't too soon to launch Dev's apprenticeship. 2 of your Rook died. I know, he groaned. But how else? Exactly. You have to fight, but you mustn't like it. He hoped Yoda didn't laugh aloud hearing him say that.
Yeah. So good.
Great.
And also, what whiplash from the total, like, inaction of the Thrawn trilogy that we frequently found Luke doing. Like,
oh my god.
I don't think I can kill this Jedi.
That particular section.
I very much enjoyed action Luke as opposed to inaction Luke.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. At the very least, we're getting laughs out of it.
Can I just say that, you know, that cafeteria scene where, like, he's waiting for the shuttle to take him to the flurry?
The cantina scene?
Yeah, the cantina scene.
Because they would never say cafeteria.
Sorry, cantina. I was so, like, confused doing that because I was like, this is so drawn out. But then, like, I get why it was drawn out because, you know, things were happening outside of that scene, but it was just, like, so slow.
The Sirook gotta capture him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And he's got to decapitate a nameless one because our 2 named Sirook, other than the Admiral, we've got 3 named Sirook.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were there, and there was another one that had no name.
Right.
Just had, like, small brown one.
Yes.
And that's the one that dies.
Yes. Well, eventually Blue Scale dies too. But...
Yes. And so does Fear Wirrung.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually.
It's like, there are 4 Sirook on the planet. That's why they don't want to die.
After Fear Wirrung drops out of the ceiling, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Is that was from the Thanos' blast, right?
Yeah, that was right before he drops out of the ceiling right before the bridge gets hit, which was totally set up beforehand. They were like, if the bridge of this ship ever gets hit, it'll kill everyone inside.
That's not funny.
And that's why we never have this ship near the enemy. It's always in the back. Cue it being at the front of the battle next to Thanos' ship, getting hit, and oh, look, who's in the bridge? Dev, Luke, and an alien. Dev gets mortally injured. The alien dies. Luke somehow escapes.
He just walks off. Plot armor's a hell of a drug.
I think he just, like, happened to be, like, at the edge of the room or, like, not entirely inside of it when the blast happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm trying to even remember what they were doing at that point. Was he...
They were trying to escape, I think.
Well, they were trying to escape.
They were fighting.
Yeah, okay. Because Dev okay, I need actually some explanation on how the hell their guns work. I don't get it. The ones
beamer?
that the beam, the beam ones.
The paddle beamer?
Oh,
Yeah. It's just a stun gun.
Blocker. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a continuous beam that apparently only bends when it gets hit by a lightsaber, but
Yeah.
its paralytic effect is lessened after it hits a lightsaber.
Okay. Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
It's real simple.
I guess I understood that perfectly. I just
I still don't really know what they look like because they're like curved, aren't they?
So I think they look like tennis rackets almost, with like a little spike on one end and they're curved on the back.
That just like still doesn't make sense in my brain. But okay.
Basically, imagine a ping pong paddle with a little spike on one side of the paddle.
Okay.
the
And
only
that's
pictures
basically it.
the only pictures of Suru on the wiki have them just holding rifles. I don't think
Yeah, I
anyone
saw
ever
that.
understood.
Yeah, no, because the Siru have real weapons. Dev is just allowed the paddle beamer because it's like a medical thing.
But the Siruk had paddle beamers too.
Mhm.
Only to
They
capture Skywalker.
Luke. Yeah.
Yes.
Only to capture Luke.
Is that the only scene they use it in?
It's the only scene in combat that they use them in. Yeah.
Okay. The picture of the paddle beamer looks like they're holding an axe at the head, like a great axe with the two blades on either end.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not what was described.
No. Oh, they have a schematic. Hold on. I'm gonna send this. This is so great for podcasting. I'm just gonna send this to you though.
I do like this era of Star Wars because they did still try and make schematics of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go. I mean, these are mostly based on the stuff, but I would go through those like books as a kid where they had all the like those. I mean, the Discovery type books or whatever that would have like the layouts of the different ships and the. It's like here's what this part in Luke's lightsaber is, and that whether or not that's actually what it was is probably not. But that's what they called it. Good.
I loved the what was it called? Those like the Star Wars Encyclopedia of ships or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love the fighters and of course, what's on the cover, the Millennium Falcon.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
The whole layout of that ship.
Do you know where all the rooms are? Do you know where the padded room is?
I do. Yeah, it's in like the aft quarter.
Oh, okay.
The part that we don't see in the movies.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. You know. They're not rated R.
Well, people just don't have sex in Star Wars.
No. Every child that we've ever witnessed has been born by the Force.
Yeah, no. And Twi'leks are not. They have no sexual connotation to them whatsoever. Absolutely.
Not at all. Definitely not. No. We don't think about the darker sides of the Empire. At all.
And we haven't even gotten to Prince Izor.
That's gonna be a thing.
Prince Izor comes from a species with pheromones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning that. I honestly don't have that much more to say about this book.
No.
The only thing I want to know what the Kenobi offensive was. Someone references it. I forget who it was, but I'm guessing it's supposed to be some sort of a Clone Wars reference. I mean that phrase isn't used in this book, but it's just a interesting throwaway.
Yeah, because they didn't know that it existed yet, right?
Well, the term had been dropped, but yeah, like it wasn't something they were gonna.
They didn't have any lore on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see more examples of elegance style technology.
Yeah. There's a whole class feature to all the Bakura technology.
Mm.
Oh no. That's the design period that the interstellar courier, the drone courier, came from.
Oh, that
one
was
in the
at the
very
very
beginning.
Oh, right.
very, very beginning
Yeah.
of the book.
The one that
Yeah.
needed to shove two blue crystals together in order to blow up.
Right. Wow, that was so long ago.
But it establishes a design period for the Empire. It says almost nothing about it, but it
Yeah.
does drop a seed that maybe could be come back to.
Does
It's
it?
not. But
I
no.
was going to say, you're
doesn't,
telling us
but-
it's not.
You could if you really wanted.
Okay. Maybe
But
maybe
you're
by
writing the second book in the series. You got to start dropping seeds and see which
that's
one's
true. That's
fruit.
true. Maybe by the end of this, we'll write our own Star Wars fanfic.
There we go.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh.
Mhm.
Pick up all those loose ends and just tie them all
And,
beautifully
is
together.
yours going to be a romance? And who's your ship?
I don't know. Probably nobody here yet. So.
Yeah.
R2 and 3PO?
Come on. It's right there.
It's about
I'm
the
pretty
only,
sure.
they have more
Pretty sure
chemistry
there's
than
fanfic
like.
out there for that.
I'm sure there is.
I want Chewie to have a nice.
I'm sure he gets a girlfriend at some
Yeah.
point.
We don't know if he can, actually,
Why?
Really?
because of his lifelong bond to
Like that.
Han. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Does that like mean he can't like
Well,
reproduce?
What
It
if
might
Han rescued
disrupt his
another
loyalty.
Wookiee?
Yeah.
What
That's
if Han
possible.
rescued
There
another
you go.
Wookiee, a female Wookiee?
yeah.
That would be the loophole. But
Double life debt.
yeah.
Like that.
So,
By the end of the series, Han's just collecting Wookiees.
It's a Wookiee colony.
so what are we gonna do next?
Sizor was mentioned. Is it time for Shadow of the Empire?
Oh.
Should
I
we do
mean-
well?
Or should we do a good one?
Can we do the novelization of the prequels?
Oh, that'd be fun.
If you feel like it. Sure.
Kip doesn't sound excited.
There's one good one.
Yeah, I'd somewhat I want to read the Stover Revenge of the Sith one, but maybe something.
We can just skip to that one. We can just read that one.
Yeah.
Have you ever read any Terry Brooks or R.A. Salvador?
Nope.
No.
Oh wait. I read the
Wait, did
first
they do
like
Star Wars?
chapter of
They did 1 and 2. Yeah.
yeah. I read the first chapter of the Sword of Shannara and I was like, nope.
To be
R.A.
fair, that
Salvatore is
adaptation's
really
better.
good at hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Well, isn't
He's-
that Drist's whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's his whole thing in all of his books. He does like really in-depth combat movements.
Okay.
And that's not really my thing.
I
Yeah.
see.
I don't think we really need to journey into his stuff except for Vector Prime, which might be
We're only doing Vector Prime if we commit
Yeah.
to
commit
NJO.
to-
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. So
And that is
How
that is
many?
a commitment. That's 20
That's
something
20 books.
that were all published in 4 years.
No.
Oh my goodness.
How many people worked on that?
No, 20.
Oh, they,
Yeah. Yeah, it was like one person a novel. Actually, there
That's
might
not
be.
true. That's
Yeah.
not true.
There's how many duplicates are there? There's not
It-
that
it
many.
is probably at least like 12.
Yeah.
No, there were quite a few like little duets or
All right. How about we do Revenge of the Sith next and then we can move into the Corellian Crisis.
okay. I'm good with that.
okay.
That sounds good to me.
That's my
Okay.
proposal.
I think if we do Revenge of the Sith, though, I think we do have to. Well, we don't have to talk about
No, we
it. but
don't.
We probably should do some sort of comparison to the movie, right?
Oh, sure.
We'll
Sure.
rewatch, yeah. But
Okay.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to rewatch Revenge of the Sith, one of my favorite Star
Yeah.
Wars movies.
oh no,
Wait, is it really?
Yeah, I like really like that movie. I mean, like
Okay.
it's of course like has problems, but like
I wasn't
John
sure if
Williams
you were
score.
being serious, but yes. I want to
So John
read the
Williams.
book first and then rewatch the movie.
That is the right order.
that is yeah.
the movie of this one is kind of like it's kind of like already in my consciousness, so I We'll be blurring the lines between what's what. That'll be interesting.
It's not in mine.
They're completely separate.
Yep.
All right,
Okay. Excited and very excited to get to Corellian Crisis, which I've been pushing for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we get kids.
We
Oh,
get kids.
like the
We get kids.
It's the solos.
The solo kids.
You get to see them.
Was it Jace and
Jason, Jaina, and Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anakin's like 4 or something. I feel.
Oh, so they're like teens.
He's like 4 or 6 or something. The Jason and Jaina are maybe like 8, maybe like 10. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just finally see people that have been, I feel like, teased for years at this point.
Yeah. Get into the meat of the sequels.
All right, let's do it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, then this concludes our discussion on the Truce at Bakura by Kathy Tyers. Join us on the Legendarium Discord server for more discussion. I'm Stormrunner with Kiptan, Befuddled Panda, and Jingles. And thanks to the Legendarium podcast, to Horizon Brave for starting everything, and to Jingle Punks for the intro and outro music. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.